Hello everyone and welcome back to Senior Cat Wellness. So, your cat is refusing to eat wet food and you're wondering exactly just what's going on. You've probably tried different brands, opened up can after can and maybe warmed it up a bit, but nope, no such luck. Your cat sniffs it, perhaps gives you a look and then just walks away. Well, in today's video we're going to talk about why that happens and how you can fix it all. First off, cats are picky, very, very picky. But there's usually a reason behind their food preferences, even if it's not so obvious at first. We'll kick things off with food texture. Some cats just don't enjoy certain textures. One cat might love chunky bits of food in gravy. Another might only enjoy pate. If the texture is just not what your cat's used to or not what they like, they're probably not going to eat it. And temperature, that matters of course. Cold food from that refrigerator, that's usually an easy no for most cats. They prefer food that's closer to room temperature or slightly warmer because it smells better, of course, and it mimics the temperature of fresh prey. What about flavor? That's a big one too. Cats can be a bit weird about taste. Some don't like fish, for example, while others, they just won't touch that chicken. If you suddenly change up the flavor, that alone can be enough for cats to turn up their nose. Think of it as someone handing you a totally different meal than what you expected. You go to a restaurant and order a cheeseburger and they hand you a fish sandwich. Well, you're a little bit bummed out, right? You're not expecting that because you ordered what you ordered for a reason. Similar with cats. They expect what they expect. So, if you've recently switched up your cat's food from, say, dry food to wet food, just at random, just on a random day, that can be a problem on its own. Dry food is, of course, very crunchy. Smells different from canned wet food. So, your cat's been eating that kibble for years. Wet food just could seem very wrong and unusual and strange. Not because it's bad, of course, but because it is unfamiliar. Cats are very big on routine, as we know, as you've been around these parts for a long time. I think I talk about that in every other video. Cats are creatures of habit, so sudden changes, they won't go over well, especially when it comes to their mealtime. But sometimes, of course, we all know that it's not about preference at all. Sometimes there's an underlying health issue at hand, something that your cat really can't control. Dental problems are a big one. Here at Senior Cat Wellness, of course, so we got to mention those dental issues. If your cat has a sore tooth or inflamed gums, chewing soft food might actually hurt more than dry food, believe it or not. It seems backwards, but it can happen. Other health issues like nausea and digestive concerns, even kidney disease, can also mess with your pet's appetite. So if your cat used to love that wet food and suddenly stops eating it, a vet visit is definitely a good idea. Let's not forget about stress and anxiety. Cats are super sensitive to their environment. As I mentioned, they don't like changes in their routine. So other external factors such as a new pet in the home, a move, loud and unexpected unfamiliar noises, that overall change in the routine, all of that can make them very stressed and anxious. And a stressed out cat won't normally eat normally, I should say, their normal routine, especially if something about the food seems to be off to go with everything else. And finally, let's talk about the food itself. Let's check it, right? Wet food, it certainly spoils a lot faster than dry. That's typically the reason some people and some cats, they love that dry food because it has a longer shelf life. But wet food, it will spoil quite fast. So if you leave it out for a long time, or it's very close to its expiration date, or don't close it properly, your cat might smell something that perhaps you don't. Always double check that date and, of course, the storage container. Okay, now that we know why your cat might be saying no to the wet food, let's talk about a solution. How do we fix it all? Well, let's start by making that transition slowly. If your cat is used to that dry food, don't just prepare a plate of wet food and call it a day. Just put it out in front of them and walk away, because that's sort of a good way to start a losing battle, right? Let's mix a little wet food into their dry food and slowly increase the amount over a week or two, 10 to 14 days. That way they get used to the new smell and the texture over time, each day, day by day, and gradually. Try different textures and flavors. If your cat turned up their nose at that pate, try shredded or minced meat. Go for a variety pack and see what they actually enjoy eating. You might find that they're super picky about one thing, one flavor, one texture, but absolutely love another, perhaps even more than their dry food. Also, let's warm up that food just a bit, not hot, just warm to bring out those rich flavors, right? And that feel of just a warm meal, a few seconds in the microwave, and can make it smell certainly more appetizing. Make sure it's just not too hot before you serve it up. And if your cat, if they still want budge, try mixing in something that you know they really enjoy, like tuna juice, low sodium, that chicken broth, or sprinkle their favorite treats. Hey, maybe cut up or chop up like some treats that you give them, almost make it into almost a little bit of a dust, if you will, and then sprinkle that on top. There are also toppers uniquely designed to make wet food be more appealing and appetizing. Sometimes you just need that little extra push involved. Feeding routine, that also helps. Cats love consistency, so feeding them at the same times each and every day without leaving food out for hours. Give them about 20 minutes and then take it away. That mealtime window, it teaches your cat to eat the food when it's served up, not that banquet buffet style where they can come and go as they please at any hour of the day. Make sure that feeding area is rather calm and clean, of course. A dirty bowl or a loud, busy, highly trafficked area in your home can make your cat less likely to eat or make them feel like they are against the clock and they have to eat quicker and faster than they would prefer, where they really don't feel like they can enjoy the food. Again, if absolutely none of this works, and especially if your cat is losing weight because they're not eating or acting a bit lethargic, take your cat to the vet. Because the situation could have nothing to do with the food at all or how you're preparing it. It could be something medical that needs urgent attention and urgent care. Now, do cats absolutely have to be on the wet food diet and eat wet food all the time? No, not necessarily, but however, this is about a 98% type of thing. Wet food does have some significant benefits that you're not going to find in dry food, mainly of the hydration variety. Cats are naturally low water drinkers. That's why some cats just refuse water, but yet they will eat a wet meal. So getting moisture in their food and from their food helps supports them in a plethora of ways, mainly kidney and urinary health. If your cat only eats dry food but doesn't drink too much water, wet food can certainly be helpful. There's no getting around that. They absolutely won't eat it. Try adding a bit of water to their kibble if possible, or getting a cat water fountain just to trigger them a bit. Some cats, they don't like that sitting water, that stagnant water, but that water flow, that waterfall, sometimes that's all it takes to get them interested in drinking pure and clean water. When all is said and done, every cat is different, and some cats will change their preferences as they age. Some cats, they take to wet food instantly, and they won't eat anything else. Others, they want that dry, and they look at the wet like some random thing that you've placed down just to make them inconvenienced. But as with so much about cat behavior and cat relationships and teaching your cat, it's all about patience on your side of the deal, consistency, and maybe a bit of trial and error just to figure out what works for your cat, because at the end of the day, that's what the goal is. That's what you're aiming for when it comes to food. What works for your cat and what is the healthiest and best for them in the short term and in the long term. To the audience of Senior Cat Wellness, does your cat refuse to eat that wet food? Have they seemingly turned their back on it after years of enjoyment? Or has your cat rediscovered their love for wet food after you made some positive adjustments? Your personal stories to share. Of course, that comment section, as always, it's all yours. If you enjoyed today's content, please like the video, share it out, and subscribe to us here at Senior Cat Wellness. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.